Here's the truth, almost nobody tells you about makeup after 50, and it is going to sound backwards at first. The exact same makeup that made you look polished and beautiful at 30 is very often the thing making you look older now. Nothing is wrong with you and nothing is wrong with your face. What has happened is that your skin has changed. It is a little drier, a little thinner, a little less bouncy, and the old techniques, the heavy foundation, the powder, the matte lips, the dark liner, were designed for a different canvas. They do not fail because you have aged. They fail because they were never meant for mature skin, and they cling to every line and drag the whole face down. So today I am going to walk you through 8 simple changes, 8 things to stop doing and what to do instead, and every single one of them will take years off your face without a single needle, procedure, or expensive product. These are not hard, and not one of them requires a new skill or a steady artist's hand. Most of them actually mean doing less, not more. And by the end, you are going to look in the mirror and see a fresher, brighter, more lifted version of yourself using makeup you very likely already own. Let us start with the one that changes everything. And I want to say one thing before we begin, because it matters. None of this is about vanity, and none of it is about being afraid of getting older. It is simply about knowing how to work with the skin you have now instead of against it, so that when you catch your reflection, you see a bright, rested, confident version of yourself looking back. That is a kind thing to give yourself, and it takes almost nothing but knowing how. Change number 1. Stop wearing heavy, full coverage, powdery foundation and switch to a light, hydrating one. This is the single biggest aging mistake I see, and it is completely understandable. Because as we get older, we feel like we need more coverage to hide more, so we reach for thicker, fuller, longer wearing foundation. But here is the cruel irony. On mature skin, heavy foundation is the very thing that makes you look older, because it settles and cakes into every fine line and wrinkle. It emphasizes dry patches and texture, and it sits on top of the skin looking like a mask instead of like skin. The fix is to go lighter, not heavier. Switch to a hydrating, lightweight foundation, a tinted moisturizer, a skin tint, or a serum foundation with a luminous finish, and apply a thin layer, building coverage only where you truly need it. Sheer, dewy, and light always looks younger than full, matte, and heavy. Because real, healthy, young skin is not flat and opaque. It glows and it lets a little light through. Think about how a child's skin looks, or your own skin decades ago. It was never a flat, uniform, matte surface. It caught the light and glowed unevenly, and that glow is exactly what a heavy matte foundation erases. So the goal is not to build an opaque, flawless-looking wall of coverage. It is to even things out just enough while keeping that living, light-catching quality, because the glow itself is what your eye reads as youth. Less foundation, worn well, is the closest thing to instant youth there is. A practical tip that makes all the difference. Apply your lighter foundation with a damp makeup sponge rather than a heavy brush, pressing it gently into the skin instead of dragging it across, because pressing shears it out, melds it into the skin, and stops it from sitting in lines. And if you have areas you want to even out, a little concealer only there, on redness or a spot, is far more youthful than blanketing your whole face, because it lets the rest of your real skin show through. And this begins before the foundation even touches your face, with the step most people rush: preparation. Mature skin is drier, and makeup applied over dry, thirsty skin will always look worse, catching on flakes and settling into lines. So take an extra 2 minutes to moisturize properly and let it sink in, and consider a hydrating primer, because a well-hydrated smooth base is what lets that light foundation glide on and stay looking fresh all day, instead of cracking by lunchtime. The single most youthful thing about a made-up face is that it looks hydrated and alive, and that is built at the very first step, before you have opened a single tube of color. And do not forget the under-eye area specifically, because dry, unprepped skin there is where concealer cracks and creases the worst. A tiny bit of eye cream patted in first, followed by only a small amount of a creamy hydrating concealer, gently pressed and barely set, keeps that delicate area smooth instead of collecting in every fine line the way a thick, dry concealer will. Change number 2. Stop drowning your face in powder and let your skin breathe with a natural finish. So many of us were taught to set everything with a heavy dusting of powder all over the face to keep the shine down and make the makeup last. On mature skin, that all-over powder is a youth killer because it soaks up the moisture and light your skin needs to look alive. It settles into lines and pores and makes them look deeper, and it leaves the whole face looking flat, dry, and dull. The change is simple. Use powder sparingly and only where you actually need it, a light touch on the T-zone or wherever you get shiny, and leave the rest of the face with its natural, slightly dewy finish. If you love a setting spray, a fine mist of a hydrating one gives you longevity without the drying, dulling effect of powder. Here is a helpful way to think about it. You are not trying to stop your skin from ever looking luminous. You are only controlling shine in the few places that get genuinely greasy and leaving the healthy glow everywhere else. A completely matte, shine-free face is not a young-looking goal. It is an older-looking one. A face with a soft, natural glow reads as youthful and healthy. A face buried under powder reads as older and tired, every single time. If you have oily areas and genuinely need a little more staying power, the trick is to press a small amount of finely milled powder into just those spots with a puff, rather than sweeping it everywhere with a big brush, because pressing sets without building up that thick, dry, cakey layer. The rest of your face will thank you for the light it gets to keep. Change number 3. Stop wearing flat matte lipstick and choose a creamy, satiny finish instead. Matte lipstick was everywhere for years, and on younger, plumper lips, it can look chic, but after 50, it works against you because matte formulas are drying. They cling to the fine lines that form around and on the lips, and they make already thinning lips look even flatter and smaller. The change is to reach for creamy, satin, or moisturizing lipsticks that add a little softness and shine because that touch of moisture and light reflects off the lips and makes them look fuller, smoother, and more youthful instantly. A dab of gloss or a hydrating lip balm in the center of the lips creates that plumping, light-catching effect that fights the flatness. And go a shade softer if your old colors feel harsh now, because as our coloring softens with age, a slightly warmer, softer, more forgiving shade often flatters more than the stark, dark colors of our younger years. Soft, creamy, and luminous is the whole rule for a younger-looking mouth. One more small thing that helps enormously, a lip liner in a shade matched to your lipstick, drawn just to the edge of your natural lip line, stops color from bleeding and feathering into the fine lines around the mouth, which is one of the telltale aging issues with lipstick. Line softly, fill with a creamy color, add a touch of shine to the center, and your lips will look fuller and more defined without a single harsh edge. Change number 4. Stop lining your eyes with harsh, dark liner all the way around and soften and lift instead. A heavy black line rimming the entire eye, top, bottom, and along the waterline was a look many of us learned young. But after 50, it does the opposite of what you want, because a solid dark ring actually closes the eye in, makes it look smaller and more tired, and the harshness only emphasizes any droopiness or shadows. The change is to soften and lift. Switch from a stark black to a softer brown, gray, or taupe, which is gentler and more flattering against maturing skin. Line only the upper lash line, keeping it close to the lashes, and if you want definition below, smudge a soft shadow along just the outer third of the lower lashes, rather than a hard line all the way across. And instead of dragging the liner down at the outer corner, flick it very slightly up and out, because that tiny upward lift genuinely opens and lifts the whole eye. And please leave your lower waterline free, because lining it all the way shrinks the eye more than almost anything else you can do. If your eyes have started to hood or droop a little at the outer corner, there is a gentle trick worth knowing. Look straight ahead in the mirror and place your soft liner and that little upward flick where the eye naturally wants to lift, so the line stays visible when your eyes are open rather than disappearing into the fold. A soft, lifted upper focus line makes tired eyes look wide awake, while a hard ring all the way around does the reverse. Change number 5. Stop keeping thin, overplucked, or harshly drawn-on brows and build a softer, fuller shape. Many of us plucked our brows into thin lines when that was the fashion, and thin brows are one of the quiet things that age a face because full, Healthy brows are associated with youth, and they frame and lift the whole upper face. The other extreme, a harsh, dark, heavily drawn-on brow, ages you just as much by looking severe and unnatural. The change is to aim for soft and full. Fill in sparse areas with light, feathery, hair-like strokes using a pencil or powder in a shade close to your natural color, never harder or darker than your own hair, and brush the brows up and out with a spoolie to lift and open the eye area. A soft, slightly fuller, natural brow instantly makes the whole face look more youthful, awake, and lifted, and it is one of the most transformative changes on this entire list. A gentle word of encouragement here, because so many women feel stuck with the thin brows decades of plucking left them. Brows can look fuller again with a little patience, both by simply leaving them alone to grow and by filling them thoughtfully, and even a slightly fuller, softer brow reshapes and lifts the whole face in a way that genuinely surprises people. Keep the tail of the brow from dropping too low, because a brow that angles gently up and out rather than down lifts everything beneath it. Change number 6. Stop skipping blush or wearing it low and flat, and add a cream blush swept upward. As we age, our skin loses some of its natural flush and can look paler, sallower, and more tired. And yet blush is the step so many women drop, or they wear a powder blush placed low on the cheek, which can drag the face down. Blush, done right, is one of the fastest ways to look instantly younger and healthier, because it puts life, warmth, and that lit from within glow back into the face. The change is twofold. First, switch to a cream or liquid blush instead of powder, because cream melts into the skin for a natural dewy flush, rather than sitting dry and powdery on top of texture. Second, placement matters enormously. Smile, and apply it to the apples of your cheeks, then blend it up and out toward the top of your cheekbone and temple, never down toward the jaw. That upward sweep of warm color genuinely lifts the whole face and mimics the natural flush of youth. A little cream blush placed high and blended up is honestly one of the most powerful anti-aging tricks in your entire makeup bag. And do not be afraid of a soft, warm color, a peach, a soft rose, a warm pink, because those life-giving tones are exactly what a paler, more tired complexion is missing. The mistake is not wearing too much blush, it is usually wearing too little or wearing it in the wrong place. A healthy, warm, well-placed flush is one of the youngest looking things a face can have. Change number 7. Stop using frosty, heavy shimmer and dark, smoky shadow on your eyes and switch to soft, matte, lifting shades. Heavy frost and chunky glitter are two of the least forgiving things you can put on a mature lid, because they sink straight into any crepey texture or fine lines and magnify them, drawing attention to exactly what you would rather soften. And a dark, heavy, smoky eye, while dramatic, tends to make the eyes look smaller and more sunken as we age. The change is to keep the eyes soft and light. Choose matte or satin finish shadows in soft, neutral, wearable tones, a soft taupe, a warm rose, a gentle bronze, and apply a light wash rather than a heavy blanket of color. If you love a little shimmer, and it can be lovely, place just a tiny touch of a fine, non-chunky shimmer on the center of the lid or in the inner corner of the eye, because that small point of light opens and brightens the eye without ever settling into texture. Soft, light, and matte with one small point of glow is the formula for a fresher, more open, more youthful eye. It also helps to use a soft, neutral shade slightly darker than your skin tone in the crease and blend it thoroughly, because a well-blended soft contour on the eye adds gentle definition and depth that makes the eye look more open, while a harsh, unblended line of dark color does the opposite. The whole aim on a mature eye is softness and light, never harshness and heaviness. Change number 8. Stop leaving your lashes straight and heavy and curl them to lift the whole eye. This is the smallest, cheapest, easiest change on the list, and it might be the single most effective, so do not skip it. As we age, our eyelids can begin to droop a little and our lashes can point downward, which makes the eyes look tired, heavy, and half closed. Simply curling your lashes before mascara lifts them upward and instantly opens up the entire eye, and it is genuinely the closest thing to a free, needle-free eye lift that exists. Then apply a coat or two of a good mascara to your top lashes to frame and define, but go very light on your lower lashes or skip them entirely, because heavy mascara on the lower lashes casts shadows and draws attention downward to any under-eye circles, which is the opposite of what you want. Lift the top lashes, keep the bottom soft, and you take years off your eyes in about 30 seconds with a tool that costs almost nothing. If you have never gotten along with a lash curler, warming it for just a moment with your hairdryer, carefully so it is warm and not hot, helps the curl hold much better, the same way a warm curling iron holds a curl in your hair. And choose a lengthening or defining mascara over a thick, heavy, clumpy, volumizing one, because clumpy, spidery lashes look harsher and older, while soft, separated, lifted lashes look fresh and open. One coat, curled on the top, lashes is very often all a mature eye needs, and it will always look younger than 3 heavy coats trying to create false drama. Restraint, here as almost everywhere on this list, is what reads as youthful. Now that you have the 8 changes, let me give you the one idea that ties them all together, because once you understand it, you will never need a list again. You will be able to judge any product or technique yourself in a second. Here is the principle. Everything that ages a mature face is dry, heavy, matte, dark, and downward. And everything that makes it look younger is hydrated, light, luminous, soft, and lifted. That is the entire secret. Dry, heavy, and matte cling to texture and lines. Hydrated, light, and luminous reflect light and blur them. Dark and harsh close the face down and make it look severe. Soft and warm open it up. And downward placement, liner dragging down, blush too low, lashes pointing down, pulls the whole face toward gravity, while lifting everything up, the outer eye, the blush, the lashes, the brows, works against it. Every single change on this list is really just one of those principles in action. So when you pick up a new product or try a new technique, just ask yourself, is this hydrated, light, soft, and lifting, or is it dry, heavy, harsh, and dragging me down? That one question will guide you better than any tutorial. It is genuinely freeing once it clicks, because you stop needing to memorize rules and start understanding why the rules exist, which means you can adapt them to your own unique face, your own coloring, and your own preferences, rather than following someone else's formula that was never made for you. And let me be honest and gentle with you about the bigger picture, because it matters more than any technique. The goal of all of this is not to hide your age or to pretend to be 25, because that never works, and it is not the point. The goal is to look like the freshest, most rested, most vibrant version of the woman you are right now, at whatever wonderful age you are. Aging is not a flaw to be covered up under a mask of foundation. It is a face that has lived, and the most beautiful older women you know are not the ones fighting their faces with heavy makeup. They are the ones working with their faces, using light and softness to let their own natural beauty come through. Makeup after 50 done right is not about more. It is almost always about less, applied more thoughtfully, with a lighter and kinder hand. So here is what I want you to do. The next time you sit down at your mirror, do not throw anything away and do not run out to buy a cabinet of new products. Just try these changes one at a time with what you already own. Swap the heavy foundation for a lighter layer over well-moisturized skin. Put down the powder. Reach for the creamy lipstick instead of the matte. Soften that liner and lift it at the corner. Brush your brows up. Sweep a little cream blush up onto your cheeks. Keep your shadow soft and curl those lashes. Do them one by one. Look at the difference each one makes and keep the ones you love. I promise you the woman looking back at you will seem lighter, brighter, more awake, and years younger, and she will look like exactly who she is, just refreshed. Because looking younger after 50 was never about spending more or hiding more. It was about a handful of small, kind, clever changes, and now they are yours. Try one tonight, just one. Curl your lashes, or sweep a little cream blush up onto your cheeks, or swap tomorrow's matte lipstick for a creamy one, and watch what a single small change does. Then add another the next day. That is how this works, gently and gradually. until one morning you realize the whole tired, heavy old routine is gone, replaced by something lighter and lovelier that takes less time and makes you look more like yourself than you have in years. You were never the problem. The old rules were, and you have just left them behind.